Oh goodness, this is very high pressure. Before we start, can I get a photo with everybody? Is that okay? Is that cool? I mean, I don't care if it's cool or not. This is the last Rails. We're taking a photo. I'm doing it. Okay, everybody, wave your hands, please. All right, happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Woo! Okay. All right, let's get started. No, it's always Friday somewhere. It's true. Everybody that works on date math knows this. All right. Okay, let's do this. Thank you, Wayne. The screen is blank. It's supposed to be blank. I did that on purpose. All right, great. Well, not that blank. It's supposed to be more illuminated. There we go. There we go. All right. Let's get started. Aji. I lost RailsConf. Your presentation is so much better than mine. I can't even compete. The beginning of your talk, this is a live action shot of the inside of my brain was just like, where is he going with this? I had no idea where he was going, and I had to put at least a one It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia joke in here because we're here. But I really, really enjoyed their presentation. When Aji said that they had watched all of the RailsConf keynotes, I was like about to curl up into a ball and die of embarrassment, just like right there in the front stage. I was so scared. But then they said that the keynotes of RailsConf are an elevated moment. And as soon as I heard that, I knew, they haven't watched my talks. I like to keep the bar down here. So my talk, I wanted to call this the hobbyist programmer. Thank you all for coming to my TED Talk. It's great to be here on the TED stage. So I wanted to call this the hobbyist programmer, but after this morning's keynote, I had to change the title to Why is Aaron Patterson? And unfortunately, after like really thinking about this, trying to get the answer, I don't know. I have no idea. All right, so anyway, happy Friday. It's Friday. It's always Friday somewhere. Woo, Friday. Yes, yes. So this is the final keynote at the final RailsConf, where I get to say the final word. Indeed, it is the final keynote. My name is Aaron Patterson. I'm also known online as Tenderlove. Of course, my entire keynote has already been predicted this morning. I work at a mom and pop startup company called Shopify. You could say this is my active job. Yes. Come on. Today I'm going to talk about AI. I will, but not right now. Before I do that, I have an announcement to make to all of you. It's very serious. This is my last RailsConf. I'm announcing that I'm stepping down. I'm never going to speak at another RailsConf again. I know, I'm sad too. But that's because this is the last RailsConf, so yes, I will not be. But since this is the last RailsConf, I figured, I've decided that maybe it's time to burn all of my bridges. Because what are they gonna do? Not invite me back? Speaking of burning all my bridges, how about that fireside chat? Oh. I really enjoyed the fireside chat, but honestly, it was very much like So David's like, we need to get everything local. We have to run everything on our machines. We got to get it out of the cloud. And the only thing I could think was like literally. Cloud. All right. Okay, this one's going to take a minute here. Literally, this is going to take a full minute. Yes, this will take a minute. I mean, when I first started doing keynotes at RailsConf about 16 years ago, this only took like a second. These days, these builds are taking minutes. We can't put up with this. The build is still going. Hold on. It's bouncing very slightly. Okay, there we go. All right. So this is the last RailsConf. I'm giving the last keynote. And honestly, this was just a huge amount of pressure for me. Like, coming up with a good talk felt like an extreme amount of pressure. But then I realized it doesn't matter how poorly I do because I'm not getting invited back. And that actually made me feel very, very relieved. But the issue was, I'm trying to make the most of my like subscription to a like, B-roll website. Yes. All right. So I felt very relieved, but then I thought, what should I talk about? Like, I don't actually know what I should be talking about at this presentation, and I really need to make one. So I decided to go ahead and look through what did I talk about previously, and I've kept all the slides that I've done at my I've given over the years. I have all of them. So I thought I'd take a look back and see what I've done and try and get inspiration from those, and then see did I in 15 years of talks, did I say something embarrassing? And unfortunately, the answer is yes, absolutely. I mean, it's been 16 years. I've done a lot of embarrassing stuff on the RailsConf stage, unfortunately. My first keynote at RailsConf was in 2010, and I looked at these folders, and I'm like, 2010. What is that? That's like, 2 years ago, right? No, that is 16 years ago. I feel old. As soon as I realized that, I immediately turned into dust, and I don't know how I'm actually standing here on stage in front of you. So I've had 16 years of keynotes, which is 16 years of wasting your time. Aji, they gave the best of RailsConf. Now, I want to close you out here with the worst of RailsConf. Or what I like to call tender love, the worster parts. And the funny thing is, all of the worst presentations, they're mine. I did them. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about my terrible presentations. I want to go through my favorite bad parts. I want to look for stuff in common, and then we're going to wrap that up at the end of the talk with something that I hope you can take home today. So my very first RailsConf was in 2010. Chad Fowler invited me. This is him inviting me to the conference. So I'm going to try and tell you stories about these, like maybe a little bit of behind the scenes of these presentations. So hopefully you get an idea of like what happened to me in my story. So he asked me, Aaron, I need you to send me a headshot. So I do that, and I send him this photo. And he responds to me, and I dug up the emails for this. Like, this is a quote, nice mullet, is that really you? I also looked up how you cite emails so that that's correct there at the bottom. Which I responded to him, yes. So he responds to me, and unfortunately, I know he had to leave the conference early. He was here. He had to leave the conference early. But he replied to me, and he said, that means I'm going to require you to have that mullet at RailsConf. And the thing is, like, he never specified what year. So, yes, I grew this mullet specifically for the final RailsConf. Yes, thank you. I can't wait to cut this thing off. Okay. All right, so I also spoke about SQLite Ruby and how Ruby uses, I spoke in depth at RailsConf, my very first keynote, how to use SQLite with in-memory databases. We took a look at the SQLite virtual file system, and I talked about using the virtual file system API, and this is the virtual file system API. I'm also lazy. I literally took the slides from that time, put them on here. So if they're bad, like, I'm clearly way better at Keynote now. Well, way might be an exaggeration. I have improved somewhat. So this is the API for the virtual file system, SQLite's virtual file system. What's cool about this is you can give SQLite a bunch of callbacks and say, like, hey, I need you to call these things anytime you're doing some operation, or anytime SQLite is doing some operation. And I hooked that in so it would call back out to Ruby, and you could implement a VFS module and do anything that you want to. So for example, you could write a class like this, and anytime SQLite wanted to open a file, it would call back out into Ruby, and you could do anything you wanted to at that time. And then like return an object, and the object just had to have read and write methods, and you can do whatever you wanted to. So like, of course, you know, every time you open a SQLite database, you got to make your web requests, and actually, this is ahead of my time because that's basically like microservices, like really genius. We got our database going across there. So what I wanted to use it for, though, was, does everybody know about end and data? Like, okay. So for those of you that don't know, if you just write a Ruby script, you can put this special thing at the bottom called under, end, under. And anything below that thing, anything below that line is put into a file descriptor called data, and you can read that. So here's an example. Like we can, everything below that under, end is available in a file that's called data, and we can actually seek to that, and we can even write to that. So we can write to that thing, so we can write to ourselves. So if we run this script, what'll happen is we'll start appending LOL to the bottom of the script every time we run it. So if we run it, it'll print out the thing, and you can see that we keep appending stuff to the bottom of the script. So if we cat the script, you'll see that it's just like this. We can see that it's appended to itself. So what I wanted to do is store a SQLite database inside the Ruby script, right? So you could use it. Truly, I even made a little demo here. Like this is a thing. Like this is a recording from back in the day. Like 16-year-old recording. So here's a thing. It's got an under, end. Uses SQLite. We run it, and then if we it stores some stuff in the database, and then gets some stuff from the database, and then if you go to the very bottom, you'll see that the SQLite database is there. So this is the demo. This is the demo that I showed in 2010. So you know why did I do this? Why did I do this? Why is Aaron Patterson? I have two answers for you. The first one is I don't know. I just did. And I think the real answer was that it was fun. Like I had a good time doing it. I just wanted to. Like I wanted to see what was up with this. Like what if I did this? And then I started thinking, you know, what if your database was in your app? At the fireside chat, David was talking about having your app plus 2 or 3 files for the database. That's not big brain thinking. We want to have everything inside of one file. We want to upload the one file to our FTP server. And then if we have any problems in our database, we're just going to SSH in VI, edit the binary data. Done. Actually, something I really wanted to do, but I haven't, unfortunately, the VFS file system isn't the way to do it. I've never completed this project. Is like, what if SQLite stored tables in tables? Like in HTML tables. Yeah? Like, this is the dream right here. This is the dream. This is what we want. All right. Love it. 2011. Michael Feathers was speaking that year. I'm a huge fan of Michael Feathers. He wrote a book called Working Effectively with Legacy Code, and this is probably, like, this book changed my life. It is, if you haven't read this book, go buy it. It is timeless, amazing book. Love him, huge fan. At this conference, I talked about performance. At the time, Rails was getting slower. I was talking about why that was. I was talking about what we could do about it. These were profiles of the thingy. And then also at that conference, this is so painful. Also at that conference, this happened. I got everybody from the Rails core team at the time and other people to get up on stage and dance to this meme thing. And like, I also happened to join the Rails core team that year, and I know they regretted it. Like, I know for sure. But I like, thank God this isn't on YouTube or somewhere for people to see for the rest of my life. As soon as this morning's talk, I'm like, no. Oh, God, no. All right, so it's not so much that I said something embarrassing as doing something embarrassing on stage. So 2012, all right, 2012. 2012, I love 2012. 2012 was the year of the expense reports. I worked for another mom and pop company at the time, AT&T, mom and pop telecom company. It was great, really great. And we had a fun expense reporting system. I gave a presentation about the expense reports. So, of course, like today, in 2025, we need to have receipts, usually. And the way that we would submit receipts, the only way I could submit receipts was via fax. Like, I had to fax the receipts in. I worked remotely at the time. And what was cool is they would go into Concur. We used Concur as our expense reporting system. And they would get scanned into Concur. So I'd fax it in. They're automatically scanned in. I would look at it in the website, go, yep, that's my expense. Boom, done. And like, I didn't own a fax machine. I still don't. That is a state of being. I do not own a fax machine. And I'm like, okay, so how do I fax stuff? Like, how do you do that if you don't own one? I don't want to go to like Kinko's or whatever. So I found a thing online where it was like, okay, I could upload a PDF and it would fax it, but I had to pay $1 or $2 every time I did that, and I'm like, this feels wrong. I have to pay to like get paid. That's very odd. So I emailed somebody at the in accounts receivable at work, and I said, hey, you know, I know we got to fax this stuff, but like, I don't own a fax machine. Is there like, you know, something I can do? Is there a way I can upload a PDF? Because I know that you automatically scan it, so should have a PDF. And the person responded to me and was like, yeah, absolutely. Just email this special email address at AT&T.com, put your expense report number in the subject or whatever, attach a PDF, and then like it'll go into the system. And I'm like, okay, great. So I tried it out. I submitted a receipt, and I sent the email, and then like, I don't know, a few seconds later, I get a response that's like, you know, 2 pages sent. And I'm like, no. I couldn't believe it. So what was happening was, I would send a PDF, I'd make a PDF, I'd send it via email. The email would go to a fax. The fax would send it, like we'd send it into a system, it would get converted back into a PDF, and then go into Concur. And this blew my mind. It blew my mind. But if you think about it from like a software engineering perspective, it's all just interfaces, man. It doesn't matter. Like, we don't care what's inside the box. That's the point of encapsulation. You're not supposed to know how it works. But this, I couldn't believe this. Then another fun thing is that I learned I couldn't submit expenses on weekends. And I'm pretty sure it's because they just had a fax machine like in a building, and then when everybody went home on the weekend or in the evening, they would shut off the power, and you just couldn't do it on the weekend. The other funny thing I loved is that when I got the email responses that were like, hey, 2 pages sent or whatever, they also had the this footer, like the footer. Incredible, just incredible, love it. This is the Rube Goldberg expense reporting system. So I also talked about response times and not blocking responses. I gave an example of sending emails. I asked the question, like, why, if we have like an email library in Rails, like why do we have Action Mailer and not a queuing system? Like, why do we not have a queuing system? It's so odd that we would send mail from the middle of a request. And then, of course, Rails 4.2 came out with Active Job. I can't say that I wrote Active Job, but I can say that I invented queuing systems. 2013, I announced my new consulting company, Adequate Industries. We do everything adequately. This is what we do, including SEO optimization. I talked about our SEO offerings. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization optimizations. I gave the history of the first search engine. This is a picture of it. It was actually steam powered. The first search engine was actually invented in Holland, and it was brought to the New World by Leif Erikson. You may know Leif Erikson, who later went on to invent the cell phones. Incredible, just incredible history to all of this. So amazing. This year was also really, really terrible because it was the year of the Rails remote code execution vulnerability. This sucked. This was bad news. This year really, really sucked for me. What happened was, at the time, there was an issue where if you had a YAML file, you could submit a specially crafted YAML file to a Rails application, and it would end up executing arbitrary code that was embedded in the YAML document. So an attacker could upload code and execute anything that they wanted to, like whatever they wanted to. So guess who wrote the YAML parser everybody was using? And guess who was also on the Rails core team at the time? Oh, whoops. Wow, let's do that build. Yeah, nice. I told you these builds take forever. Anyway, this guy right there, yeah. So, yeah. Yes. Sorry, let me do this build one more time. This guy. All right, so let's talk about some YAML parser internals real quick. So when the YAML parser runs, this code is not 100% real. Like, it's real code, but it's like not exactly what happens. When you load a YAML document, psych, the YAML parser is actually written in Ruby, and all it really does is it says like, oh, okay, I'm parsing a hash, so I'm going to create a new hash, and then I'm literally going to call the hash setter, like you would imagine, like how you would write stuff to a hash. Just a normal Ruby call. But there's another feature of the YAML parser that is you can specify the class of the thing that you want to instantiate. And we have to support things like subclasses of hashes. So you could subclass a hash, serialize that to YAML, and you need to be able to load that YAML again. So here's an example. Let's say we have a class called helpers. If we specify that we have a hash, and that hash is a class, an instance of helpers, then what the YAML parser will do is it'll allocate a new helpers object, and then it'll call that setter on the object itself. So that's how the YAML parser works. Now, what happened was inside of Rails, these are new slides, you can tell because they look good. What happened inside of Rails is that we had this method right here that would just eval crap. Like, whatever was in the value of the hash, like whatever you passed in as the value, it would just turn around and like eval whatever that thing was. So the exploit for this was like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to send you a YAML file that has this helpers class in it that has a value that's like some Ruby code like this. So that was the exploit. And the upshot from all of this is like, please don't use YAML. Actually, no, it's fine. It's actually fine to use YAML. Go ahead and use YAML. It's fine, it's fine. I said no, don't use it, but it's fine. Later we had after we fixed that vulnerability, I have to admit, it really, really sucked at the time because like people couldn't people didn't understand the nuance of this bug. It wasn't that there was a problem with YAML necessarily. It's that Rails had some really, like, frankly, dumb code in there. Like, why are you evaling this stuff? So it's those two things working together. What we ended up doing though is we introduced a method called safeload to YAML. So if you call YAML.safeload, when you pull in the YAML, it doesn't allow you to do those types of things. And then later on in a major version release of YAML, and I'm 100% sure there are people in the audience here today that have been bitten by this, we changed the default load to be safeload. So if you call load, by default, it is safe. So I'm sorry if you run into that problem, but this is why. So 2013 kind of sucked for me. 2014, Chicago, oh my gosh, we got to get through a lot of years. I talked about ActiveRecord, I talked about performance, I talked about AdequateRecord. I introduced a product, it was a new product called AdequateRecord, and this was a bunch of performance patches that I'd made on top of ActiveRecord, and they were really, really great. I offered them for a very low, low price. Nobody took me up on that, so I just merged it. Like, we don't care. We don't need our Rails apps faster. So these patches made ActiveRecord 3 times faster for some APIs, but they sped up a bunch of different stuff. And I have a video here of me merging this. So I'm gonna do this. I merged the patches live on stage.
I'm not very good at typing. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Okay, this will work. Okay. So we're Git pulling now. It's downloading from the internet. The internet might be a little bit slow. Hopefully it'll work. Please work. Maybe we won't be able to do this live. Okay. Okay, I think it's there. Oh. How do you merge? I don't know what I'm doing here. I mean, don't you think that Git has really good?
So clearly I had pre-recorded this. I added the network delays, of course. Like, this was all planned out. And I played the recording. Like, I played the recording on stage. I did the whole bit. I had actually merged the stuff in, like, I don't know, a day or two prior. And then someone at the conference came up to me and they were like, "Wow, it was really cool that you merged that live on stage." And I thought it was like obvious that it was pre-recorded. They also asked, like, how did you, like, I saw you merge it on stage. How is it that it got committed 2 days earlier? I'm like, I don't know. That was fun. 2015, RailsConf was in Atlanta. I really enjoyed that year. Kent Beck was there. He is the creator of extreme programming, or XP for short. So what I did for this presentation was I hid my computer on stage. So it looked like I was using a PC. You couldn't tell I was using a Mac. And I opened the talk like this. This one has audio too, AV people. So I crafted all of this. This is handcrafted. See, we go straight into it. So this was how I opened it. I opened like this. I just was very serious on stage. Continued on. My slides looked like this. I mostly talked about performance. Used Comic Sans with a blue gradient to make it seem authentic. And then later, my machine crashed. And I had to reboot my computer in the middle of the presentation. And I have a recommendation for any of you that want to pull this trick on stage. Talk to the AV folks in advance. Like, that's my pro tip to you. So I had 2 cats, Gorbachev, Puff Puff, Thunderhorse. This is one of them. This is him. And then SeaTac Airport, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, that is her. We called her Choo Choo for short. At RailsConf, RailsConf 2015, I started handing out stickers of them to folks in the audience, and it was because like I had learned that some people were afraid to talk to me, like they were intimidated by me, and they didn't know how to say hi, and I felt kind of bad, like I felt bad about that because I like talking to people and I want people to feel comfortable coming to say hi. So I was like, you know what I'll do? I'll make stickers of my cats. I'll pass out stickers of the cat. I'll say, hey, I got stickers. So then if you want to come say hi, you can just ask for a sticker. And then like if you didn't know what to say, there's at least that like thing we could do together. Unfortunately, both of my cats have passed away. So I didn't bring any stickers because I wasn't sure if it would be like weird to pass out stickers of my cats. So I didn't bring any, but I am still friendly. So please, like, please come say hello to me. RailsConf 2016 was in Kansas City. This was about performance. I also demonstrated PHP templates embedded in your Rails application. This is incredible. This is one of my favorite talks. So let me show you. I'm going to give you a demo here. This is PHP info. So we have a PHP file that is inside of our Rails application. Just take a look at that. And it says PHP info there. And if you go ahead and you load that, we're going to boot up Rails right here. It's pointing at my special thing, and then we load it, and then you'll see, hey, we're on Rails. And if you go to the URL users, you can see PHP info. I also demonstrated reading instance variables, so I want to show that off. In this example, we're changing the PHP template to access an instance variable called @helloworld. Then we define the instance variable in Ruby. So this is the PHP side. We're reading an IV called hello world. Over in our controller, we define hello world, and I added the time to it so you know that I'm not lying to you. This is real. There is no magic here. I mean, there is magic, but so yeah, it prints out the stuff. So we're able to define an IV in Ruby and access that from PHP. I also demonstrated iterating over active record objects. So here we could load the users, like all the users in our controller, and then down in our PHP view, we could go ahead and iterate over the users and then print out a list of users all in PHP. Okay, go. Good job, Aaron. Yes, okay. Yeah, there's our LIs, ULs. I think people got it. All right, go load it, come on. Past Aaron. Oh, right, yes. There's nobody in the database, of course. So we got to go create our new user, and then create the user, hello, and then we'll go back to our PHP page. Oh, we're going to make a few of them. Good job, me. There we go. Now our PHP view is working, so we're printing out that stuff. So that is what I demoed at this presentation. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Oh, no, I added more? Oh, right, because I'm bad at HTML. Right, yeah. Okay, forgot about that. Right, you can edit it and then it'll update. Like, of course, it updates like anything else. You know, you can do it. Yeah, there you go, live reloading. So that was it. Do I not get an applause for this? It's insane. Like, so if you're not like catching what's going on in these videos, which I can understand, I embedded a PHP runtime inside of Ruby. So I took PHP, I embedded it inside of Ruby, and I was able to get them to communicate with each other. So you could define a Ruby object in, like a Ruby object, and you could pass that Ruby object into your PHP runtime, access stuff on the Ruby object, and it would work in both directions. So you could define a PHP object, pass that back into Ruby, access stuff on the PHP object. Of course, I called the project Fubi. You can go access it there. I haven't updated it in a while, but yeah, it worked at the time. And then since this is Fubi, or had to be Fubi on fails. I think a very inspirational project for the year 2025 might actually be like Laravel on Fubi on fails, like. Maybe somebody want to try that. I think it would be fun. So these were like some of my highest effort slides ever. Like those 3 slides took a long time to make. Like in development time, I had to I had to learn how PHP worked, like how to embed PHP. I had to juggle 2 different garbage collectors. Like, it was wild. It was a very difficult project. And you're probably asking me, like, why would you write this? What good does it do for you? Same answer, no idea. I don't know. It was fun. I had a good time. Like, I had a good time doing it. I learned a ton of stuff about this different language and how to embed things in Ruby. I had a great time. RailsConf 2017, Phoenix. Again, I talked about performance, because I always do that, apparently. In 2017, I talked about code smells. And I had this data that I had acquired. This was my data. It's bad data, it's crap data, just crap data. And I was analyzing this. This was the entire presentation was analyzing this. I talked about digital signal processing, including how you do digital signal processing, convolution. Convolution is basically just taking 2 digital signals, combining them together so you get a 3rd signal, and you can analyze that signal. So we have these 2 signals, and we'll combine them and then see what we get. And like, this is actually how radars work. It's very, very interesting, and it's actually not that hard. This is the formal definition of convolution. It's really, like, it looks complicated. It's really, really not. It's just like, you can imagine 2 arrays. Well, 3 arrays total. We have an array X and an array H. X and H are input signals, and then Y is our output signal. And all we're doing is we're just iterating through those arrays and then like combining them to get a 3rd array out. And this is what the convolution code looks like in Ruby. I wrote it out in Ruby. I mean, you know, you don't need to understand it. We're last day of the last RailsConf. We don't need to think about code too much. So I wrote it out in Ruby. It was very fun, but I wanted to graph it. I thought it would be very cool to graph it. And when I want to graph things, I want to seem smart, so of course I use R. But the annoying thing is that R uses 1-based indexes, and I had written all of my code in Ruby, which uses 0-based indexes. And this, like, R is a great programming language, but it is inscrutable. Here is an example. This is R code. So I've created here an array called foo, and it has the values 1, 2, 3 in it. And you can do array subscript 0, so you can access that. And all that does is it returns to you the type of the values inside the array, right? So you can see here when I access foo0, it returns numeric. And like, I don't know why they do this. This drives me bonkers. But you can see here, if you access numeric and you just do +1, like, that works. There's no exception. It just returns numeric 0. So if you don't know that R is a 1-based like system, you can write all of your code and it just like doesn't do the right thing and there's no exception. And you're like, what the heck is going on here? So once I figured this out, like, I tried porting all my Ruby into R. It didn't work. And I am not smart. I couldn't figure out, I'm like, I don't want to figure out how to port my code to use 1-based indices. Like, this is too hard for my brain. So what I decided to do was implement cons, car, and cdr in R using lambdas. And if you implement those, you can implement cells, and if you implement cells, you can implement arrays. If you implement arrays, you can do any index base that you want to. So that is what I did. I just implemented a Lisp in R and ported all of my code to that. So this is what it looked like. And this was the output. I was very, very proud of myself. I had done this. And then at the end of the presentation, I revealed what all of this data was. And what it was is something I had built. It's this scale here. It's a bathroom scale where I'd put an MSP430 as just a microcontroller on the bathroom scale. I used a Raspberry Pi motion sensor, and I mounted the Raspberry Pi and motion sensor above the bathroom scale, kind of like this. So it was like that. And then on top of, like, yeah, okay, there we go. Great job, Aaron. Yeah. On top of the bathroom scale, I placed my cat's litter box. And then as the cat would the cat would go into the litter box, and then the cat would come back out of the litter box, and then you would end up with graphs like this. So this was, so you can see here, cat enters, cat leaves. We got a delta there at the bottom, so you know, like, how much was left. Right there are those differences. So I revealed this at the end of the talk, and like, of course it got a lot of laughs, but there were some people who were super pissed. They're like, I listened to 40 minutes, 45 minutes of this, and then it's just about cat poop, and I'm like, no, come on. We did digital signal processing. What are you talking about? Like, I don't know, maybe these were the highest effort slides. I'm not sure. I mean, I had to do a lot of stuff for this. Like, I mean, I had to learn about microcontrollers. I had to learn R. I had to implement a whole Lisp system inside of R. Had to. Of course, why? I don't know. Why would I do this? I don't know. But it was fun. I had a good time, and I learned a whole bunch of stuff while I was doing this. It was a really good time. I enjoyed it. RailsConf 2018, Pittsburgh, again, performance, yes. 2018 was the year I became like very famous in Japan for like a day. I went viral in Japan, like, and on Twitter. And Twitter is a much bigger deal in Japan than it is here in the United States, even in 2018 when it wasn't so awful. This was my tweet. It was one character, one single character. Was like one character, 80-some thousand likes on the single character. So like, if you think about this in terms of character per like, it's like really worth the investment. Like, I recommend this one, post this one and get a lot of likes. I'm not going to go into the whole backstory on why this went viral, but it was very funny because I went to a very tiny bar. I happened to be in Tokyo at the time. I went to a very tiny bar, and the people there like recognized me. They're like, you're the way that you read this is Kusa. They're like, you're the Kusa guy. I'm like, I am. That is me. Yes. So I got recognized by like normal people, which was weird. I gave a demonstration of this, like Ruby code that looks like this. You can define methods with UTF-8. Like, you can do that. That's legit. Totally real. You can even do like keyword arguments like that too. So this is like the thing you can do. Even more fun, like really, really more fun, is that you can do like non-breaking spaces too. So this is it's a runnable Ruby program. Yeah. You can run it, and then on the right is Vim, and on the left is the program catted and then runs. So you can see that it actually does stuff. Again, why would I do this? I don't know. I don't know. I had a good time. It was really fun at the time. I think the reason I did this, like, I learned a lot about Ruby's parser. I learned about a whole bunch of different stuff while I was doing this. I had a fun time doing it. RailsConf 2019, Minneapolis. This is where I said "but at what cost" a lot, and then people like said that to me all the time. Any time I said something, they would say, yes. And I think it's because like I kept talking about performance. Again, of course I do that, yes. And then again, this is I talked about eliminating parentheses and how that was faster. So like this is the code on the right is faster than the code on the left. Oh, thank you, yes. And you might like ask me why that is. And the reason is that no code is faster than no code. No parentheses? Yes? Okay, we're not, okay. Of course, I also did the single quotes joke. That one, single quotes are 2x faster. You all know why, right? You should have been paying attention at the opening keynote. Shift key, no shift key, yeah, thank you. I talked about allocation profiling and ERB, how template compilation works, including locals, how they're compiled, and how we might pre-compile ERB templates. That was fun. 2020 was an unfortunate year. Anybody remember that year? No, me neither. Me neither. Again, I talked about performance. Wow. Why do I do this? Why is Aaron? So this time was an active record benchmark comparing using a normal where call to using a sanitized SQL call. And surprisingly, it turned out that the bottom one here, like using this sanitized SQL, that was faster than the top one. Like, that's faster. And like, I don't think I talked about this, I don't think I said this in the presentation, but the source of this, or the reason I was doing this, is that somebody had like figured this out. Like, somebody had figured this out. That, oh, if I use sanitized SQL, it's faster than using where. So they're like, okay, we gotta rewrite all of our code to use sanitized SQL instead of using sanitized where. So they're doing that instead of telling us, like, hey, this is slower. You need to fix this. So this whole story was about like, hey, okay, we need to make where faster. We need to make those speeds match so that folks aren't writing sanitized SQL, because we really don't want people doing, I mean, you can, not gonna stop you. Like, this is, you know, you're not gonna go to code jail or whatever, but like, please don't. We'd prefer you to use the where thing. So the entire presentation was about fixing this. For the fun, like the mullet, this must have been a mullet talk, not a reverse mullet talk, because the fun part was later. For the fun part, we talked about my new Olympus camera, which I decided to hack because we were doing everything online. It was fun. I created a proxy server because for some reason this thing, like, you control it via Wi-Fi, and I wanted to know how to control it. So I set up a proxy server, described all that, how I set up an SSH tunnel to intercept all of the, traffic. Then I could replay all the traffic to figure out what it was. Yes, great job. Beautiful presentation, Aaron. Yes, so that we all know how a request and a response works, yes. So I made a little replay thing with Webrick so that we could get those requests and responses and replay them and log them so that I knew how to hack this camera. That was a fun time. I also made a sign that every time, okay, the sign is the Aaron sign. Any time I would mess up something in my terminal, it would flash Aaron at me. So here, I made a little demo here. So this is a sign. This is hanging behind my desk. And every time a command returned like an error code or whatever, it would flash Aaron at me. And that was my project and my presentation for RailsConf 2020. Why did I do this? Again, I don't know, but it was fun, and I learned about microcontrollers, many different things. I really had a good time doing that project. 2021, held online again. Again, guess what? Performance. Why? Instance variables, class variables, parallelism. I also had a product announcement this year. This is my favorite product. It is the analog terminal bell. And I made so hopefully some of you haven't seen this. I brought the ad, so here's my play it.
Has this ever happened to you? CD space GIT tab. This must be the right directory. If only I'd heard the terminal bell. With the analog terminal bell, you'll never miss a terminal bell notification again. The analog terminal bell is a bell that rings anytime a bell character is displayed on your terminal. Simply plug it into USB. Then enable the analog terminal bell in your terminal settings. It works with your shell. It works with Vim. It even works with DevU Random. Thanks to the analog terminal bell, I'll never miss a terminal bell notification again. Go online and get yours today. Go to analogterminalbell.com today to get your very own analog terminal bell. Once again, that's analogterminalbell.com. Analog terminal bell is not actually for sale and requires a custom build of iTerm 2.
Okay, so thank you. I am honestly not sure which one of these projects has been my highest effort one, but this one was particularly hard. I had to learn, so not only was I learning how to do microcontroller stuff, I also had to learn how to do 3D printing for the case. That tick mark that was in iTerm 2, I had to learn how to develop that, so I had to learn how the terminal works. I actually did modify iTerm 2 to do that. So this entire project, like, I meant for this project to be reproducible by anybody, so it's all real. I even sent a pull request to iTerm2. So you should look up the pull request. It's great. They closed it, like they rejected. Like, this didn't get merged. But, like, it was so fun in the comments. Everybody thought it was hilarious, and they're like, okay, it can't be the analog terminal bell, but what if? And they came up with like a legit sounding way to integrate this type of functionality in. Because what you needed to do is you need to have a way for the terminal to intercept the bell thing. Like, we need to get a callback. Basically, we needed some way to get a callback anytime a bell was displayed in the terminal. And fortunately, the upstream author was like, hell yeah, let's do this. So you don't need a custom iTerm2 anymore. It doesn't say analog terminal. It doesn't say terminal bell in the thing, but there is now a thing that you can do in iTerm2, so you don't need the custom build anymore. So that was a ton of fun. Why did I develop this product? I don't know. I mean, it was 2020, 2021, so like I had more time on my hands. But it was super fun. I had a great time. I learned about terminals, like how terminals work. I learned about libUSB. I learned about 3D printing. It was really so much fun. RailsConf 2022 was in Portland. I stayed at the Dublatree Hotel, very fancy. Very fancy, very demure. This slide, oh my goodness, this slide triggered my French coworkers because this is pointing in the wrong direction. You could say, I made a grave mistake. Guess what I talked about at this conference? Yes, of course I did. I also talked about Rack and H2. I talked about TenderJIT. This is a side project of mine, just building a Ruby. Like, I wanted to build a JIT compiler in Ruby, like in pure Ruby. And I wanted to do that on the side. So I wanted to learn about JIT compilers, so I started writing my own in pure Ruby. I had written a pure Ruby x86 assembler and a pure Ruby ARM64 assembler. And in this presentation, I gave a trick, like I showed a trick that I really enjoyed. This is like my favorite part, my favorite slide of the presentation. It requires some context around it, but basically what these bytes are, like what this is, what these tables are, is a table of bytes. And these bytes represent machine code, and this machine code can run both on x86 and ARM64. So it can run on both architectures. Machines, like your processors, all they do is they just interpret bytes. So what I thought about was, like, could I craft a sequence of bytes that if I gave it to an x86 processor, it would return like the number 0 or some value, like 0, let's say. And if I gave the same bytes to an ARM64 machine, it would return 1. Like, could I put those bytes together? And I was able to figure it out, and this is it. Like, these are the bytes. Those ones that are in orange, those are combined. So the top section is x86 machine code. The bottom section is ARM64 machine code. And if you smash the two together, where those two bytes meet, you can execute this code on either one of them. And what I really liked about this, or the reason I did this, is that I wanted to detect what platform I was running on, and I didn't want to write any if statements, because we all know that if statements mean complexity. And machine code, no, there's no if statements there. So ergo, easy, simple code, right? So why did I write this one? I do have a reason for that. I just told you. But also it was fun. I had a really good time doing this. I learned about different CPU architectures as well as how to make a JIT compiler, all the different machine instructions for x86, 64, as well as ARM64. RailsConf 2023 Atlanta. This was where I started I started promoting my YouTube live stream, which I haven't really done lately, and I really apologize for that. No, I shouldn't apologize, because it's my time. Why do I have to? I don't owe you anything. But I do want to do it. I do want to do it more. And I'll tell you the reason I haven't done it lately is it's really hard for me to come up with topics. So if you have seriously, this is an open invitation. If you have ideas for topics, let me know. Please send me an email, and I would do it. This presentation, guess what? Not about performance. What? Wild. Yeah, I talked about language servers, so LSPs. We even developed a language server, and I said in this talk, Rails should include a language server by default. So that was my big brain idea for this presentation. Next year, RailsConf 2024 Detroit. Unfortunately, this one, performance again, sorry. Talked about widget, parallelism, how instance variables work, and object shapes, how they're in a tree data structure, which I don't want to explain this to you right now. I mean, I could, but we only have 5 minutes left, so I'm not going to. Though I could. One thing I was thinking is so, we don't all want RailsConf to end, right? Could I do a Cory Booker and filibuster? All right. So, okay, yes, continue. This brings us to 2025, where we are today. Now, I'm giving a talk. I'm not in the middle of it. I'm near the end of it. There is no performance stuff in here. There's no performance stuff in here at all, but I did talk a lot about performance, for sure. So you could say that this is a performance review. So this is the final RailsConf, and I'm giving the closing keynote for it. And this talk, I did say at the beginning of this presentation, this talk is a lot of pressure for me because this conference means a lot to me, and I want to leave you all with something. I need to think of something that is important to me and that I want to leave the audience with. So I am going to talk about AI a bit. I actually use AI pretty frequently in my day-to-day work. For those of you who are my coworkers, it is imperative that you know that I reflexively use AI. This is absolutely an inside joke with my coworkers. If any of you see my coworkers, any of you that don't work with me, if you see my coworkers, be sure to mention it to them for me. I would really appreciate that. So, yes, I like to use AI, and as a Vim user, I have it. Yes. As a Vim user, you can know that I have an aversion to trying new things. But I find some AI tools to be pretty handy. I like to use Claude Code a lot. I mostly use it for code discovery. So for example, I can dive into C Ruby code base and I can ask it questions like, where is the register allocator for ZJIT? I can ask it that and it'll actually point me in the right place. I find it really, really helpful for that, especially at a company like a mom and pop shop that has such a large code base. Very helpful, something like that. Also explanations, I can say, hey, can you explain the union find algorithm to me? And it'll explain those things to me. The other really good thing I like using it for is starting things that I don't want to do. An interesting thing about computers versus humans is that computers don't drag their feet like I do. So I find it useful for getting started. Sometimes I give it more complicated tasks, like refactor these tests, and it's not always good at those particular things. I have to I have to be pretty specific, otherwise it'll mess up. I've tried some things like, implement the set global instruction in ZJIT, and it kind of works, but the main issue that I've found with AI is that AI is very mid. When it generates code or does refactoring, it's not always the best code. It's not that great. I think there's a trick that I've heard where let's say you're going out to eat with friends or something, and nobody can decide on where to go. Like, no one can decide. If people are being indecisive, someone should just say McDonald's. Because everybody has an opinion about McDonald's, and if somebody doesn't suggest something different, you're going to McDonald's. AI is basically suggesting McDonald's for your code. Now, of course, there's problems with this. We're going to talk about it a little bit. But the thing is, like, sometimes McDonald's is good enough, right? Like, given the choice, I'm not typically going to eat fast food. Like, I don't do that on a day-to-day basis. But if I'm at the airport, I got to make a connection, I need to eat, I'm very hungry, like, mid-food will do the trick. So, as an example, like, I got a bunch of CSVs, I need to graph them real quick, and I'm going to throw the script away at the end of that. Asking AI to do that seems fine. Now, the thing that worries me about this is that, like, if I think about this and take this to an extreme, I think to myself, well, if AI can do it, why should I hire a programmer to do it? And I feel this is love this toot. If AI can do my job, why should I hire it? Why should we hire somebody else? And I like this worries me. I am a programmer. I like getting paid. But on the flip side of this is, like, how do I know that the AI output is correct or secure or efficient code? How do I hold AI accountable for the code that it wrote? Like, what do I do? What do we do if AI vibes out a mess and then we need somebody to fix it? Somebody has to do this. While I was writing these slides, it was very funny, like me and my procrastination brain, I was like, oh, I'm going to read some news now instead of doing what I need to do. And I ran across this article where this person is being paid to fix issues caused by AI, and I thought it was very funny. The person is a copywriter getting hired because literally the AI slop generated was just too mid. So, like, the best part, though, for me, the best part of this article was that, like, she was getting paid. She's like, I'm getting paid. Like, this AI stuff is, you know, whatever. So she's getting paid, and I think that's good. Now, all these problems, I think, are a way of applying pressure to us humans to be better at our jobs than we are today. So even though it's pretty easy at this moment for us to, like, outpace an AI, I think that we're going to have to work to stay ahead. And in my opinion, there's something that we as humans can do that can't be replicated by AI engines, and that is creativity. I think that this is a very, very important thing that we can do that AIs can't. This is a quote from that BBC article that I just showed you. The AI copy she was hired to fix was too bland, and when it just seemed very basic, it wasn't interesting. They wanted to sell intrigue, but instead it was very, very vanilla. And unfortunately, like, when it comes to code, like, we want bland code, unfortunately. But for us, creativity comes when we have to solve larger problems or think of solutions that have never been explored. So I think that this type of creativity is a muscle that we need to exercise, and the more that we exercise it, the better we can get at being creative. Another thing AI can't do that we can do. AI can't program for fun. Like, it is a robot. It's not having fun. And despite all of the guys falling in love with their AI girlfriends, and it's all guys doing this, these things are machines and they don't have emotions like we do. They can't program for fun, and I think that we need to have more of this in our community. We need to have more just fun programming. So what I really want to end this presentation, I was about to drop an F-bomb there. I'm over time. Let's finish this up. All right, so programming as a hobby. I want to sell programming as a hobby. When I looked through all of my previous RailsConf keynotes, I noticed a couple main themes. First off was performance, unfortunately, yes. I talk about that a lot. I think it's because, like, whenever I give presentations, I want to do two things. I want to give the audience two things. One, I want to make people laugh or, like, make sure everybody's having a good time. And the other thing is, like, I know that everybody here, like, paid to be here, and like I should provide some value, and performance seems like a good thing. Like everybody wants to make their app faster, so we talk about performance. But I want to talk about programming for fun. So the second favorite thing I saw in my talks was that, or the second thing I noticed from my talks is that the talks that I love to give are the ones where I had the most fun, the ones that I think resonated the most with the audience. They were most well received, the ones that I just enjoyed doing. Those were the ones where I just did stuff for the fun of it. Like I didn't really have a particular reason. I just wanted to do it. I thought it would be funny. Let's just do it and see if I can. So doing these types of things, for me, it gets my creative juices flowing, and it motivates me to try harder and be better, like do harder things, get better at my craft, and improve myself. And I know that when I'm doing it just for fun, I'm intrinsically motivated, and I know that I can continue and improve. Now, AI can't do that, but we can, and I think that we should take advantage of it. Not only will we improve ourselves, but I think hobbyists will be more and more the ones that are pushing programming forward in the future. A while ago, I tweeted this. Blue Sky, I skeeted this. I asked on Blue Sky, if LLMs had been around in the early 2000s, would we still have advancements like convention over configuration and metaprogramming? And I asked this question because I think these types of advancements are specifically tailored for us as humans. So another thing that worries me about this AI revolution is that the point I was making with this post was that let's say LLMs were invented back in the 2000s. Back in that time, I was a programmer. Yes, I am old. I was doing a lot of XML stuff. It sucked. I had to configure stuff in XML, and it was not fun at all. And when Rails came around and said, hey, we've got convention over configuration. You don't need to write any more XML files. Everything is just put in a particular place for you. You don't have to think about this stuff anymore. For me, that was revolutionary, and I was like, I have to do this. This is configuring these XML files is one of the worst things in my job. But since AIs don't get tired like we do, they're not motivated to get rid of that garbage or that grunt work. They're happy to output XML files. And I'm worried that if we lean on these AIs to do this stuff more and more, we're not going to get advancements like this. So I think that in the future, maybe AI will, they're going to be spitting out XML or doing whatever, but those types of advancements are going to have to come from hobbyists. They're going to have to come from people who actually care about the code that they're writing. So I want people to code just for the sake of doing it, just for having it, just doing it for fun. And I know that might be hard for some people, what would be fun? And I want to talk about and try and give you some ideas. So if all of the weird projects that I talked about at the beginning of this presentation were not enough, I want to talk about a few more and then end this presentation. So I think it can be hard to pick up programming as a hobby, especially if you haven't tried doing it before. So let me see if I can give you some ideas. The first one is trick programming. These are quines or obfuscated programming. I really encourage you, go check out this URL and try running the programs in there. They will blow your mind. You will not believe the stuff that people do with programming languages, especially Ruby, these ones. Here's one. I'm going to give you a very fun one. This one. This is a JPEG. I will not explain how this works at all. This is your homework for you after the conference. You can run this JPEG. This JPEG contains a Rails application. Seriously, go get rails.jpg. I'm displaying it on the screen here, but this is actually executable code. So you can do ruby-x and run Rails on a JPEG. So what I would like you to do is go home and try and figure out how that works. Ruby's virtual machine is a stack-based virtual machine. This is another project idea I've had for a while, just haven't gotten around to it. I want someone here to do it. So Ruby VM stack-based. Do you know what else is stack-based? PostScript is stack-based. Ah, yes. Of course. Of course, this makes sense. We need a Ruby to PostScript compiler. Yes. Why? Why? What do you mean why? What? You should have learned this from my presentation so far. We don't need a reason. We don't need a reason, but if you need a reason, the reason is so that we can have Ruby on Rails on printers. right? It's like our next like Lambda thing. You're like, oh man, I need more compute. I get more compute. US East is actually just a bay of printers. We got all the got all the HPs up. Those Epsons are too slow, but they're cheaper. So my final message for this conference is try programming for fun. I think the future of our industry depends on this. Time to finish. I'm going to finish up here. I feel honored to have had the opportunity to be on this stage for the past 16 years. It's been the best time of my life. I've made dumb jokes. I've been able to go places I never would have been able to go. And I've been able to meet so many people that have touched my life very deeply. I want to say thank you for wasting your time with me. And I couldn't think of a better group of people to waste time with. So thanks. Stop! Stop!